Estuaries, everybody's favorite place for their beaches, torture crabs, turtles, annoying gulls, seabirds, and most importantly, inhaling salt water when swimming. Yep, today we are going to explore the interesting and uniqueness of estuaries. Love them or hate them? Here we go. Estuaries are ecosystems where aquatic systems from land meet marine waters. The unique qualities are similar to a wetland, but with more water movement, and therefore the landscapes can change much faster, causing the organisms that live here having to quickly adapt. There are four main types of estuaries: fjords, barbued, and tectonic. Drowned river mouths or coastal plains are the most typical when you think of an estuary. You will see mudflats when there's low tide, having in tropical places the recognizable fiddler crabs coming out to feed on sediment microbes. Another way that you can identify them is recognizing a very wide area at the surface but goes down diagonally with depth, forming a V-shaped cross-section. Fjords, a Norwegian word for where one fares to, is an inlet on the edge of a landmass carved by the advancing, receding, and scraping nature of glaciers. All that damage leaves behind a U-shaped valley with less visible biotic life than other types. It's also more likely to extend longer from land to sea instead of spreading out. Barbued estuaries are estuaries having inland waters pushing out sediment in a high rate that it forms barrier islands off the mainland, forming a lagoon in between. You might recognize this setup or part of the setup, specifically the barrier island, as where some beaches, boardwalks, or vacation homes are. The one type left is the tectonic estuary. This type is rarer, and if you guessed by the name, it forms only in major earthquakes or tectonic events, suddenly mixing the fresh and salt water. Besides the types of estuaries, there's also the different water salinity movements, which in turn can affect nutrient cycling, cohabitation with other organisms, and as well as how they move around. One of the movements is called a salt wedge, where the freshwater part of the estuary discharges faster and stronger than the sea's tidal forces. This causes the salt water to sink down to the bottom and the fresh water to skim at the surface, mixing only in the middle called the halocline. Another is partially mixed. This is where the tidal forces are a little more powerful, creating more of a sinuous curve along the z-axis, having the fresh water going out while the salt water is going in from below. The third movement is called well mixed. This is more or less the balance point between the fresh and salt water. This balance of forces can stall the mixing process vertically, creating literal salinity barriers. From a concentration of 0 to 35 as you go out to sea, it leads to a horizontal mixing or a smaller scale Coriolis effect, where one type of water gets pushed to one side of the estuary while the circulation happens in the middle. The fifth way is almost the complete opposite of being partially mixed. The negative circulation is where estuaries in desert-like climates have high evaporation, causing hypersaline waters where the fresh water becomes minimal. This causes the ocean side to force salt water inland, dives down, and then goes back out in a partial circulation. It also causes a salinity distortion called isohalines, where the aquatic landward side is actually in a higher salt concentration than the ocean side. The interesting thing about estuaries is that they are less of a permanent resident for organisms and more of a transitional nursery space for their life cycles. One of them is the blue crab, which swims from the sea to an estuary to molt for protection and then swim further up to the more freshwater have to swell up before its new shell hardens. Another is bull sharks, which give birth and can spend their juvenile stages in them before going out to sea again. Some migratory birds, such as the sandpiper, rely on estuaries as a pit stop for rest and food before continuing their long journeys. As for examples of locations, most of the beaches and tourist sites in New Jersey are on top of bar-built estuaries. There are other more known estuaries such as the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, San Francisco Bay in California, and the Puget Sound in Washington. Well, this is all from me for now. If you want to see more of these videos, now there will be a video for you to watch on the screen momentarily. Ciao for now.